I've gained a ton of new subscribers since the beginning of Immortal Empire's early access, and I just wanted to say thank you all so much for joining me. Many of you guys might not know, but the Pistoliers are actually my favorite unit in the entire game, or at least one of them. Have been for some time. There's a bunch of reasons why, but today I'm facing off against the Dark Elves, taking one of my favorite units in one of the matchups that I like them the best. We've got Volkmar leading the way, 3 Pistoliers, Sigmar's Sons, 3 Halberdiers in the back, 4 Spears up front, a couple of War Wagons for some armor-piercing missiles, Bright Wizard here, obviously going to be carrying Lore of Fire, Fireball, Cascading Fire Cloak. A lot of that is to juice up Volkmar himself and also get Kindle Flame procs for this Demi squad right here, Demigryph Knights with lances and shields, and of course led by a Warrior Priest with the Banner of Eternal Flame, giving them passive fire damage. He's also got some buffs to juice them up, keep them from taking damage, melee attack, and damage resistance from Shield of Faith and Hammer of Sigmar. Soul Fire as well to help clear out some chaff. Of course, Volkmar also going to be great at that. My opponent here coming in with a Supreme Sorceress, Lore of Death. He's trying to get in range to start spear leeching my wagons. My opponent and I, in voice chat, he literally said, "I forgot you had Skirmish Cav," which is, for me, I almost took a personal offense to that, because it's my favorite unit in the game. Not really, but what that means is his Supreme Sorceress up in the air here, while she is relatively cheap, it's not going to be the biggest loss if she straight up goes down here, but she's going to at least take quite a bit of damage. The rest of my opponent's build here, he's got triple Bolt Throwers, double Manticores, some Cold One Knights, and Dark Riders to protect, 4 Dread Spears, 4 Bleak Swords, so a nice, balanced, a relatively balanced Dark Elf build here. Cheap character, but she's definitely paying the price. The low armor of that Supreme Sorceress on her Dark Pegasus makes her an extremely vulnerable target to even non-armor piercing shooting, and one of the great things about Pistoliers, one of the reasons why I love them so much, is their missile damage is very good. They've got a fast reload rate, 2 shots per volley, okay armor piercing values at 2 AP per shot, of course up to 4 since it's 2 shots per volley, but just fast reload time, relatively little limited range, but lots and lots of damage against unarmored units, which is great because Dark Elves tend to have quite a few low armor, high value units that the Pistoliers will just do a great job skirmishing. We're going to kind of move up my mobile box. The idea here was to have somewhat of a mobile wagon fort. If my opponent came in with a heavy rush build, I could run the wagons and the Pistoliers into this kind of box of anti-large units, but since my opponent's taking his own shooting build here, I'm having a little bit of an issue there. He did manage to get his Supreme Sorceress back into a safe position. She's going to be able to fly around and get a couple more Spirit Leeches over the course of the battle. I don't really have any way of getting at her way back there. Volkmar also eating some Manticore charges here in the center, but the Demigryph Knights have just about got to the engagement. Going to pop a quick rear charge here into these Bleak Swords. We're trying to break them quick. I also saw my opponent's Cold One Knights kind of lurking here, so I'm going to try and pull back, screen through these spears now that the Bleak Swords broke at the exact right time. At the same time, though, my opponent's focusing a lot of value in terms of the Bolt Throwers and Cold One Knights taking out my War Wagons, which he has been able to effectively. I really haven't got much value at all from them, but I'm going to continue to sweep the Pistoliers up and around the side of this formation, maybe take some of these Dark Riders away from the fight, continue to pressure the Supreme Sorceress or these Bolt Throwers, while the Demigryph Knights engage in the center. They're going to catch the one Manticore enraged in my back line here and drag it down in a big, big hurry. Unfortunately, yeah, I was going to say they're going to get terrified, but no, actually, the Manticore just straight up shatters, which is great. Another little Cascading Fire Cloak there for Volkmar. Again, that Kindle Flame damage spike will help the Demigryph Knights. They're going to get Spirit Leech, though. But a lot of their role here is just going to be to counterpunch the Cold One Knights wherever I can find good open charges, take decent engagements, a little bit of banishment from Volkmar as well, hitting another Cold One Knight. They're definitely a unit that I need to prioritize, and great RNG for me. It rolls over into this other unit that just immediately tried to charge in to the back of my Demigryph Knights. They kind of got interrupted as well by some of these Halberds. Still have plenty of Halberds in reserve. Banishment also just barely didn't roll over my Halberds, which is great, but in general, it's going pretty decently. Volkmar forces a little blob of the Cold One Knights, and the Manticore, more Cold One Knights charging in, so the Demis definitely facing a tough engagement, but the supporting Empire Halberds here, you see that Cascading Fire Cloak go off as well, And you know that, like, even these halberds are getting a damage spike, assuming that they were within range to get flaming damage, which in fact it looks like they are kind of barely on the edge of it. But yeah, Volkmar continuing to take damage as well from Spirit Leech, Bolt Thrower, Focus Fire. Some of the Pistoliers have kind of led some Dark Riders away. Another Pistolier gets through and collapses on this Bolt Thrower, but they're definitely going to pay a severe price. One thing to note about me using Pistoliers is I do get them killed pretty often as well, which is just par for the course, you know. I mean, those guys pretty much used up all their ammunition anyway. It's not like it's Domination where I can refund them and resummon them with full ammo. Just got to, you know, bite the bullet, no pun intended, and rush them in the back line here. But just having the pressure, of course, light cavalry is great for chasing routing units, getting on artillery or skirmish pieces. Even if it's just missile light cavalry, it can still fulfill that role reasonably effectively. Demigryph Knights now were terrified off, coming back for a second wave, rear charging that Manscore and trying to finish it off. A little bit of Spirit Leech there on Volkmar as he pulls in, Grand Shield of Faith, a little bit of Soulfire, help finish off this absolute horde of Dark Elf low-tier units. A little bit of Fireball there, hits the Supreme Sorceress right on the nose, puts her down to 300 HP. I've been slinging those also to proc that Kindle Flame. It's enough to break her leadership, so let's see. My opponent here runs his Dark Riders kind of in that area, maybe to try and recover her leadership, but I'm not sure. Anyway, the Pistoliers are out of ammunition at this point. I'm just using them more as a distraction force. To get these Cold One Knights to get out of position, maybe draw the Dark Riders out of position and screen through my own units, while Volkmar continues to terrify away whatever he can. Cold One Knights also trying to pull away from the demis. A couple of them get caught there. Demigryph Knights are definitely one of those units that I'm not really sure how I feel about where they're at. I think they maybe could use some minor buffs, but I'm not really sure, to be honest. With the proper support and used in the proper way, like in this particular replay, they've had quite a bit of support in terms of spells, you know, cascading Fire Cloak pretty much constantly on them. And Volkmar, lots of Kindle Flame, the abilities from both Volkmar and the Warrior Priest also contributing. It's hard to say. They're definitely going to get their value back, but I did also invest a lot of them here. And I will also say that this build, I think, for the Dark Elves could be significantly improved just by switching Malekith in for like the Supreme Sorceress and the two Mancores. You just combine all that value into Malekith, maybe take a couple of Scourge Runners to act as more anti-infantry and also to provide a little bit of additional pressure versus Volkmar himself and the War Wagons and the Demis and whatnot. Probably work better than what my opponent brought in this particular build, but still interesting and a great showcase of one of my favorite units in the entire game, so how can I not show it? One of my own battles as well. I haven't been playing that much lately. Now kind of getting back to things. I have a little more time to start playing again now that 1.2 is released, and some of the stuff in my personal life is getting resolved, so that's good. Pistoliers also retrieving some great value here, considering they only cost 500. They are all very cost-effective. Likewise, low-tier Empire Infantry. I think State Troops are getting a little bit of a bad rap right now. One of the things that's great about State Troops is you have great access to support abilities to help them punch above their weight class, and generally they do perform very cost-effectively in the Combined Arms role, especially with Slaanesh Marauders getting more expensive. I would expect also that Bleak Swords might get like a plus 25 gold increase or something in the next patch or two, because they are also very cost-effective in comparison. These ones, though, in particular, don't necessarily trade great. A lot of that comes down to Volkmar. Obviously, he's one of the best anti-infantry lords in the game. Even still, the terror, the anti-infantry damage. Not a ton of direct raw damage here, but also tanking and healing a lot, distracting a lot, and just generally being a huge terror on the battlefield. 92 kills, 1620 value on the Demigryph Knights, 12,000 total damage dealt. Pretty good stuff. The Warrior Priest also just about pays for himself in terms of raw damage. I think this kit costs about 1,100, I want to say. So, I mean, you combine the support value as well on all my other troops. Certainly it is cost-effective. Halberdiers kind of holding out until the end game there. War Wagons ended up being a pretty big distraction, I guess. They took a lot of damage and didn't do anything for me, so that's fine. But yeah, definitely Pistoliers were the MVPs for me, personally, for taking out that Supreme Sorceress. The rest of my opponent's build, like I said, just a little bit of fine-tuning, and this would actually be very scary. Combine the value here, maybe take, like I said, into Malekith, take one or two Scourge Runner Chariots, and then suddenly you've got a really nasty build to try and deal with. Bolt Throwers are definitely a very solid pick here. They trade cost-effectively into Empire Cannons. and will generally be great against Empire Heavy Cavalry, Volkmar himself, War Wagons. There's a lot of good targets for them in this matchup, so definitely would recommend in land battles, and even in domination now, actually. Probably works pretty well to try and bring some artillery. So hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this one. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.